Hi, and welcome to this discussion where we look at leadership. And I'm very sure that you are in one way or another a leader. And the discussion around leadership is a discussion that continues throughout the whole of life. Those before us discussed leadership, we are discussing leadership, and those after us will discuss leadership. So, what I want us to, the first question that I want to ask, which has been asked, and I don't think there has really ever been an answer to this, is a leader born or made? Is a leader born or made? And in our day to day life, we are placed in positions where we have to do leadership. So I like to say leadership actually becomes a way of life. Leadership is something that you must do, whether you like it or not, whether you're deliberate or not, whether you're conscious or not. You will find yourself in positions, situations where you will be forced to do leadership, either at your place of work. If you are married or running a family, you have leadership. Within your extended nuclear family setup where you are born, many a times we say the firstborns are always looked at as secondary parents. If you're in a job somewhere, definitely you are practicing leadership in one way or the other. So why is it important for you to actually be a leader? And are these qualities, are there qualities of leadership that can be learned and practiced and enhanced and perfected, that you become a leader in essence? But really that is not the discussion. And we're not going to discuss whether leaders are made or born. We are going to discuss why leadership fails. Why does leadership actually fail? And I think the best example that we can use is that of our political leadership, more so in this country called Kenya, or not only in Kenya but worldwide. Why does political leadership fail? Um, why is it that there seems to be a gap in the political leadership everywhere in the world? I think the issue is aggravated or becomes more grave when you talk about African leadership. And so we're going to look at, and even in our homes, why is it that today there are so many cases of separations, divorce, um, you know, people killing each other in relationships? Or is it that you have a problem at work? I'm sure even for you watching today, most probably you have been in a situation where you have a problem at work with your leaders, or you are even the problem as the leader. So, and I want us to look at a few reasons why leadership actually fails. And then we'll be able to understand what can I do better to make myself a better leader at the place that I'm called in to practice leadership. So number one, why leadership fails is because of bad intentions or lack of communication of the purpose of leadership. Many people go into leadership without a clear understanding of what purpose they are meant to fulfill in leadership. So you've been made a leader, but you do not understand, you do not know the roles of leadership. You do not know what you're actually meant to do. And at times I've seen organizations where people are given a leadership role and really they're not taken through even a handing over process that they understand the role that they'll actually be playing in that organization. So what happens many a times is that then that person does not understand the role. So how is he able to perform it? So inability to communicate the role of leadership by those and to understand the role of one as a leader is a key reason why leadership fails. The second is the motivation to leadership. I want to look at an example of some youngsters who go out and engage in sex and conceive. And really, the intention was not to get a child. The intention was to have fun. But in the process, a child is conceived, and they say one of the ways in which today marriages begin is when you are called, and as a man, you are called and told, we have a situation, we need to talk, I'm pregnant. Now, that means that the intention, the motivation to start that institution of marriage is not love. That is, if that relationship gets to marriage, that is not, the intention was not marriage. The intention was something else. But as a result, then we have marriage. So what do? You will find that there will be conflict because the intentions upon which this role of leadership of these two people to lead a marriage, and probably now even for the man to be the head of this family, he was not prepared for it. He was going there for some few minutes of pleasure, and at that expense, a family is born. So the intention does not communicate the purpose, and therefore we begin to see a big problem. And therefore, even when you look at political leadership, some people are placed into leadership, even political leadership, just by the fact of a family name affiliation or something, or somebody has lost a sibling or a parent or a spouse, and because they were in that position, then we have a discussion around, let's give this guy because, or this lady because they are a relative to this person who was a good leader. So the motivation for them is not to lead, the motivation is to stick or to try and fit into the shoes of that sibling or that person who has passed on, and therefore you have a person who is not motivated, whose intentions were not the original intentions of the person who had that office previously. The other reason why leadership fails is lack of resources. As a leader, you need to be empowered with resources that enable you to perform the function that you've been called to perform within an organization. That means you have to be equipped. That means you have to be able to understand your role, number one, which we talked about, understanding the purpose of leadership, so that then you can ask for the resources that are required for you to perform this role. Unfortunately, where many people do not understand the role, therefore they do not ask for the necessary resources to be able to perform the function they have been called to. So resources are therefore not availed. And at times, you're even in a situation where resources are not available, not because you did not ask for them, but because they just are not available. So what do you do as a leader? You are incapacitated. We could be looking at a problem like what we have in Africa today. It's a problem of resources being channeled the right way. Resources are there, yes, but then the administration of resources then becomes a problem. So it is important that we avail resources to those people that we give leadership, so that we empower them to perform the function that we've called them into in leadership. The fourth reason why why leadership fails is lack of vision. Many a time we have leaders who have no vision towards where their role is meant to take the people that they are leading to. Therefore, if they do not have vision, they will do that which they think is the right thing. They will do that which should be normal, which should be expected, but really, which looks okay to them. But it may not align to that which is the vision that their leadership role is entitled to do. So lack of vision becomes a very big impediment. Number 5 is lack of proper systems. Systems to facilitate the leader to work. I've had an opportunity to work in an organization that had very good structures, an organization that had developing structures. Let me not call them poor structures, rather developing structures. And in such case, I found myself that as a leader, there are some things that I was not able to do simply because the structures were not elaborate. The structures were not defined end to end, that really this is the way to flow things. And that being the case, then it inhibits the ability of the leader to perform to that which they are called to do. And therefore there has to be systems, there has to be structures that enable the leader to be able to function. If you are in business, You need to, for your business to succeed, one of the biggest things you have to do is to actually create systems that enable your business to run whether you are there or not. The sixth thing that is important to have is that makes leadership fail is the inability to manage resources. Now, at times there are situations where we don't have resources. There are situations where then we have resources, but the people who are in leadership do not know how to manage resources. For example, allocation of people to duties, delegation, which is a big problem in leadership and in management today. People do not know at what point in time do I delegate. So that makes the leader fail, because then they think they are supposed to be doing all the roles. Or some of them will also now delegate too much. That means that you actually delegate even on functions that should not be delegated, because you do not also have the capability. It goes back to point number 1 and 2. And finally, number 7 is the lack of willingness to learn, or hard-headedness, or being indifferent. We have leaders who, and unfortunately I think this is very rampant in political leadership, where some leaders, by the virtue of being elected by the public, they feel that they are the only ones who can perform that function. Therefore, do not seek advice or relevance or counsel from the people who can actually give them counsel to be able to perform the functions of leadership that they have been called to. So, as a result, what happens? There is always lack of the ability to perform a function end to end, because there are gaps, there are things that you do not understand. And instead of not asking, and because then you think you know it all, then as a leader, you do mistakes, you blunder along the way. But should you have opened up yourself to learn, to understand, to get counsel, then you would actually have been able to handle your position of leadership in a better way. So I hope this short video just helps you to become a better leader in the place you are in. You will become a more resourceful leader to the team that you are leading. You will become a leader who listens, because a leader who does not listen will eventually find themselves with nobody listening to them. So I hope that this is resourceful and that it is going to help you move your leadership to the next level. Thank you very much.